In this episode, I'm going to show you how to paint this wall into this color. I'll also give you a few tips on how to get clean lines and paint neatly along the ceiling. So if you're curious about this process, make sure to keep watching. We're dealing here with a textured ceiling, often called spack. And getting a clean edge against that can be tricky because taping off the ceiling doesn't work very well. So the best thing you can do is to cut it in by hand. Along the edges of the other wall, we'll use tape, since the white wall won't be painted, only the left side will. And don't forget to tape off your baseboards too, so you don't get any paint splatters on them. For the wall, I'm using a regular roller. If you run your hands along the roller, you can remove most of the loose dust, the stuff that's just sitting on the surface. You might not see it clearly on camera, but that's how you get rid of the rough dust sticking to the roller fibers. Once that's done, I always rinse the roller in water. It doesn't have to be soaking wet, but by making it a little damp, you'll remove the last bits of dirt and any loose fibers. The fewer loose fibers there are on your roller, the fewer will end up on your wall. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, it's wet now, as you can see. I just run it through the water, and if you look closely, you can see some moisture and fibers sticking to my hands. That's how you remove all the excess. Then, just spin the roller firmly to shake out the remaining water. When cutting in along a spack ceiling, it's important not to rush it. You can easily hit the ceiling if you go too fast. So I always make sure to apply a bit of paint first, as close to the line as possible. You'll see there's already enough paint on the surface, and also enough loaded in the brush. Then, gently push the bristles upward until you reach the edge. Once you're there, slowly pull that line across. As you can see, I'm doing this very calmly and controlled. Let me zoom in a bit. I'm bringing that line right up to the ceiling. And then I slowly pull it through. You can also see that I only need a few bristles from the brush to reach that corner properly. It doesn't have to be thick, as long as the line is clean and sharp, that's good enough. Because the textured ceiling naturally forms a bit of an edge, you can use that as your stopping point. That corner is never completely straight, but if you stop right at that edge, that's all you need. Sometimes you'll need to go from one side and then back again to make sure the line connects nicely. Once that's done, grab your roller, load it with paint, and roll that section in well. I use a small roller on purpose. It lets me reach higher up and keeps the same texture as the rest of the wall. If you used a brush there, you'd get visible brush marks that would stand out against the roller texture. So I always try to go as high as possible with the roller. Then, near the bottom, I spread the paint out thinly so that when I go over it later with the big roller, it blends together smoothly. When you get to the corner, press the tip of your brush right into it. I already placed a small piece of tape there, so it's a bit easier, but if you don't have that, press the brush tip upward like this. See? Do the top point first, pull it back, turn your brush around, and press the point against the wall side. That's enough. Then pull it down, and drag it along the ceiling edge. I've already cut in all the edges now. Depending on how large your wall is, you can either do all the edges at once or work in sections. If it's a big wall, I recommend doing about 2 meters of cutting in, and then roll that part immediately. If the wall is smaller and you're already confident with rolling, you can cut in the entire wall and then follow with the roller. Pay attention to how much surface I cover with one full roller load of paint. Try to match that amount. Don't use much more or less. By applying the same amount, you'll get an even coat and avoid thin patches. That not only reduces strain on your body but also gives you a much smoother finish. So don't be too stingy with the paint. Make sure you apply a nice, even coat per square meter. And keep watching, because when I finish this wall, I'll share a useful tip that's really worth knowing. Once you've finished the first coat, let the wall dry completely. After it's dry, you can lightly sand it with fine sandpaper to remove any small fibers. Then apply your second coat, and by then, your wall should look perfect. To paint a wall properly, you need a good quality latex paint. The cheaper the paint, the more chalk it contains, and that can cause problems over time. So try to choose a decent quality latex. It's worth paying a little extra. If you're spending somewhere between 7 and 10 euros per liter, you're getting a solid paint with less chalk, which means fewer issues later on. I promise to give you a useful tip. If you use these smaller rollers for cutting in, and they're quite fluffy, they're actually great later for painting or priming doors. After using them on a wall, most of the loose fibers are already gone. So clean the roller well and keep it for the next time you need to paint a door or a frame. It'll be a perfect roller that's already shed all its hairs, and it helps you get a nice, even coat when priming. If you plan to paint outside or in a damp room like a bathroom, make sure to use paint that's suitable for those environments. I also often get asked if you can paint over wallpaper. You can, but there are definitely a few things to keep in mind. In the video appearing now in the center of your screen, I'll walk you through everything you need to know before painting over wallpaper. It's absolutely worth watching. Subscribe to my channel for more useful painting tips that'll help you save money. Give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one.